let's actually look at some facts here. Trump has recently loaded up on bonds. He bought over $100 million worth. He's also stacked up on gold, which, as you know, is a refuge asset. It's what people buy into when they anticipate major hardship is coming, like an economic crash or a major war. They expect the market to crash. And in addition to that, so Trump can immediately make money on his bonds, he's put pressure on Jerome Powell to reduce interest rates to the Federal Reserve, and he has reduced rates once, and they plan to reduce it again. This way, Trump.
And are you betting against Trump?
Just a second,
or are you betting for Trump?
No, whether you're betting for him or against
Are you
him,
retarded or are you fucking
you're not,
moron?
So now you're detracting from the
Why do
point.
you insult like that?
Because you don't.
Why do you
Well,
have to
bet with Trump,
Okay,
dude.
just like I'm gonna mute now because you keep interrupting. I didn't interrupt you when you spoke. So let me finish the point. He's betting on the economy crashing, and he's betting on perhaps a war coming because he's already threatened Venezuela, and he's threatening Iran as well. You know, to do Israel's bidding. So tell me how a patriotic president who's profiting off of his presidency in violation of the Emoluments Act, which means it's against the Constitution, can still be considered a patriot. And he plans to add like over $7 trillion of debt to the Federal Reserve debt that's already there.
Are you done?
I'm just telling you that all of his actions show that he's not patriotic. He's treasonous.
No,
he's
no, no.
beholden to a foreign interest.
No. We are at war. He's a wartime president.
At war with
and
who?
we are at war
Wait, hold on,
against.
what the
Wait,
fuck are you
but I
talking
thought
about?
you would suggest he should win the Nobel Prize for being the peace president, which it changes every like
He's
12
making
hours.
peace in the Middle East. He's making peace around the world. But
Peace
we
in the
are
Middle
at
East
war.
by fueling
Chill.
the,
Let me
genocide of
explain it.
Palestinians?
Let me explain it. We're at war against the global
Is it
deep
peace in the Middle
state,
East
the
before or after
global
he bombed
elite.
Iran?
He's part
Are
of
you
the
getting-
global elites.
Are you getting paid by the WEF? What is your what is
The
your
WEF
like
to expose that the WEF is now
Are
run
you, like-
by Larry Fink, a Jew?
what? Are
is
you
that where
like
we're going?
your
We're at war
cognitive
with
dissonance is like
Can you spell
beyond
cognitive dissonance?
excuse me?
Can you spell cognitive dissonance?
COGNITIVE Is that good enough?
I think it was okay. Good job.
I think so
Yeah.
too. It doesn't
You get a
matter.
17.
Nailed
I
it.
think he's drunk. I think he's
I
drunk.
am high
No,
and
he's
drunk,
not
but who
drunk.
gives
He's
a
an
shit?
excellent speller,
He's
though. That was really good.
I'm a great speller. I can spell it
And
backwards probably.
Just remind him who mentored Trump.
It was Roy Cohn, a Jewish lawyer. He lost his life. He lost his bar card towards the end of his career because he ripped off one of his clients and tried to change his estate plan into his own name so he could inherit his fortune of over $7 million. So that was Trump's mentor. How do you feel
Okay,
about that?
you are twisting yourself in knots to hate Trump. I get it.
No, that
don't
is
understand
cognitive
why.
dissonance
How is
right
it
there.
that-
It makes no
bro.
fucking sense because the only thing
Are
you're
you
backing
denying?
is
Wait a
the
minute. So when I
global
call out a
elite.
Jewish lawyer for being a thief and a criminal,
A Jewish lawyer for there's
being a thief,
Christian
and a,
lawyers that are thieves, there are Muslim
Sure,
lawyers that are
sure.
thieves, and
But
there
we're
are
not
Jewish
talking, we're
lawyers
talking
that are
about the
thieves.
one that
good.
specifically influenced
So-
Trump and was his mentor, and that was Roy Cohn. Roy Cohn was also known for defending.
You-
He was a criminal lawyer, right? So he defended all kinds of
So,
criminals. And he was known
did
for
you get
blackmailing
this?
people.
Is this from the New York Slime, or is this what's this from? Where'd you get your information?
The New York Times.
Is it from?
Actually, in various
I'm
publications. Wait, are you
using
denying
brain
it?
cells.
Are you denying it? I have the receipts for this. I have receipts for everything that I claim. Like, do you know who you're talking
Yeah,
to?
I'm sure.
Oh, so then you didn't
I'm,
know.
I'm talking
Or
the
you just-
truth, of course.
Now you're
Like you
playing-
got to be
so
the
now you're just-
arbiter of truth,
So now,
right?
because you can't respond, you're like, oh, well, what's your source? The typical Hasbara tactic when you can't respond and you're in a corner.
No, you're
oh,
twisting
where are you
yourself
getting
in
your
knots
source-
to
where
try to
facts from?
create Trump as some evil being, but
He's
he
evil.
You're
is.
suggesting he's a patriot because he rides an escalator.
I would
Well, if he's
suggest
taking
that
the
he's a
elevator,
patriot
you wouldn't be bought in, right? He's like, oh, no, that's not
because
true.
he's closed the borders. He
Yeah, he
has
hasn't
gotten
closed
rid
the
of
border.
criminal illegals.
Why did
He is in the
wait,
process of
Why
taking.
did he shut down the investigation into Southwest Q, I believe it was, that was offering 27 shelters for kids where numerous pedophilia and sexual assault allegations that happened, and Biden actually started the investigation. Trump shut it down. So how is that helping human trafficking and child sex?
Let's hear what Godfrey
Shut-
has to say. He's
When
funny.
you shut
You're
down,
not.
so now you can't answer. See, that's the problem with you. See, I
Depends
come
on
in
your
good faith
definition
and
of
ask you
helping.
hard questions. Hold on, I ask you hard questions, you can't answer. So far your response has been, oh, what are your sources for that? So because you don't know, or
No,
you're just playing
he's-
dumb.
he's-
Two,
No,
Like,
you're
yeah,
going to
yeah,
some
yeah.
fucking
That's
rabbit
the
hole
way.
that's just
Hold on, I asked you a direct question on why Trump shut down an investigation into a child trafficking, into a systemic child trafficking operation done
Trump shut
at the
something down.
border. He shut it
Give
down.
me
That's correct. He
receipts
did.
on that.
He shut.
No,
Sure.
you
I'll
don't
put it in
understand the
next.
separation
That's
of
no
powers and how the
Oh,
fucking
I see,
government works.
I see. So now you're in denial. So now you're just lying.
No, you just
How
don't
many
understand.
pedophiles has he arrested?
So let's see.
Like, I
He
wouldn't know
hasn't
this.
declassified the
All
Epstein
right.
files. He says it's a Democratic.
All right, come on,
hoax.
Godfrey. Godfrey's funny.
Be quiet. Do you believe
See?
the Epstein files are a Democratic hoax? Do you believe that? Do you believe James Comey
The
just randomly
Epstein
made that
files
up?
are a deep state. They're a deep state operation.
yeah,
Can we
it's a deep
get to the
state
truth? Yes,
I
we
mean,
can
it's a
get
Jew-
to the
I'm
truth.
20
sorry,
years,
Is
20
Epstein,
years.
is Epstein a Christian, a Muslim, or a Jew?
Epstein is a Jew, from what I
That's correct.
understand. I
Okay,
don't know. What does that
excellent.
mean?
And who was his partner in crime? What was the name of the lady who's currently in jail? Well, retreat camp, whatever. What was her name?
Ghislaine Maxwell.
Is she Jewish?
Her dad is Mossad, correct?
Okay, so she's Jewish as well.
But that doesn't. I've already
Who's the one
explained that
enabled
to you.
Epstein?
That
Let's
Mossad
go through it all.
is the deep
No,
state
you're
of
saying- no,
Israel.
you're saying-
Yes.
now
Isn't it weird, a little Freudian slip there, that he said Maxwell's dad is Mossad rather than
It's not a
saying
Freudian
Jew?
slip.
So he's affirming that essentially Mossad and Jew are one and the same, which we're told that we're bigots for suggesting.
It's incorrect, but that's
Funny how that
fine.
works,
You
that
can
right?
that's for
make
bigots.
all the
Record space. We can go
assumptions
back
you'd
and listen
like.
to it.
Okay, so we know
Make
that
all the
so
assumptions you
Ghislaine's
want.
father was Mossad. Thank you for acknowledging that. Was Les Wexner Jewish? The guy that gave him POA and gave him a free home? And also gave him a home in Ohio as well. Was he Jewish?
I don't know about him, but probably it sounds like
You
a
don't know
Jewish
about Les
name.
Wexner, the guy
Sounds
that
like a
owned-
Jewish name to me.
Okay, so cool. So Jewish.
He probably
financier.
eats bagels.
What about Leon Black, who shortened his name from Blackowitz to Black? Was he Jewish?
Oh, if he went from Blackowitz to Black, he's definitely Jewish
he's
for sure.
He's definitely Jewish as well. So he gave Epstein $158 million to help finance
Okay.
him as well. What about Steve Hoffenberg, the guy that gave Hoffenberg was
Berg?
the guy that gave
Fucking
Epstein
Jew.
a
He's a
job
fucking Jew.
at Harvard?
You
He's
got
a
it.
Jew as well. How about Ace
Oh, yeah.
Maurice Greenberg?
Your Jew targeting is fucking
Oh,
spot
Jew
on.
I'm Jew targeting. You hear that? I'm Jew targeting.
You're good at it.
There's a lineup of Jews involved.
No, I got
in
Judar
Epstein
too. Don't.
To carry
No,
out
no, no.
your-
We all got
You're
like.
calling this a deep state operation. Every element of this is Jewish.
I got
Every
you, Dar,
element
don't
is
worry.
Jewish. The guys that were doing blackmails before Epstein were Jewish as
But
well.
is it
Roy
kosher?
Cohn, and it was Meyer Lansky. They were the ones running blackmail operations at the plaza where Trump ended up buying out. So let's just call
You
it.
can blame everything on Jews. You can blame everything on evil. You decide. That's up
How
to
about
you. You
evil
just
Jews?
you
How about
you want to
Because
decide
it was
on
Jews.
Jews.
It literally
I
was
decide on
Jews, Christian.
evil,
Well, again,
and
the
then we
problem
can
is,
then we can come to an agreement where the evil
You're-
lies,
but the
and then
problem
we
is
can
here, what you're
come to an
doing-
agreement
I'll
who is.
I'll tell you what you're doing here. It's called Sayanim, and you're also observing Masiha, which is a Jewish tradition of defending other Jews that are criminals and not wanting to tell the truth to a Gentile.
I'm not
about what's
defending
going on.
any
You are.
Jews.
You are, because you're
The
calling it deep
global
state.
elites.
You defend.
Yeah, you're
You defend
deflecting
it
from
when
them.
you don't
You're like
call it
me.
out. That's because you're deflecting. Actually, you're aiding and abetting a group of criminals by not calling them out. You're enabling them to carry
Incorrect.
on. If you would get on board with the rest of us, you might actually serve a valuable purpose, but you don't. Instead, you defend the Jews.
What are you guys gonna do? You gonna resist?
Well, that's
What's your
exactly
plan?
right. Yeah,
What's your
I-
plan, Truth?
I've mentioned my plan.
You're
Versus right
resisting. You're
equals
resisting.
Jew.
You're
That's not
resisting.
resisting. No,
Go
I take
resist.
neither side. No, left and right are both compromised. I take.
What are
my
you
own
gonna
side.
do then? You take no side. What are you gonna do?
You'll be
Just-
quiet. I'll tell you. You'll be
Wake
quiet, I'll tell
everybody
you.
up. That's what we're doing.
So there's a
All right.
process of collective awareness that I'm doing through educating people on these types of spaces. In addition to that, I encourage people to do BDS, boycott every Israeli Jewish run business
So
because
you
they don't like that.
Educate
Guys, that's just-
everybody that Jews are
See,
Red-
like in the previous space. You don't want them to know it's a group of Jews, Kabbalist Jews that are involved, that are actively
That's gonna
blackmailing
work.
American politicians. Yeah, I know. And they also now control the media. Well, they have for a long time. But now it's even more consolidated and obvious and really in your face.
And Trump's,
Don't talk about
Trump's
banking.
with them, right?
Don't talk about banking.
Trump is under them. Trump answers to
Trump's
them.
with
That's correct.
them. Trump's
Yes,
part of
when
them.
Trump goes, why did Trump go to Israel and bow down to the Wailing Wall? Why would he do that?
And you think that's gonna work?
I just asked
Oh,
you a
wait,
question.
Ivanka
Answer the
is there
question.
right now,
Okay, Crypto
humping
King, if
us.
you don't answer this question because you haven't answered any of my questions, I'm just gonna drop you because
I'm just wondering, like, how do you think that's gonna work that you're going against Trump?
Okay. Well, Trump's a treasonous president, and anyone supporting him is just, again, deluded, thinking that he's going to save America. And I've dropped him, by the way, because he got his 15 minutes of fame that he wanted, the cloud chaser that he is. And he admitted right from the beginning, I'm here to derail the space. But again, I don't want to waste the audience's time anyway. I hope it was fun and amusing. Look, it's also, there's something to be said about letting them expose themselves, but just for a short period of time, because otherwise you start losing brain cells. You don't want to dumb it down and lower yourself to their level. Rise above, I always say. And they don't want us to actually have this conversation about the Epstein files and who's actually involved. And this is from a Jewish journalist, by the way, Michael Wolff, who tells us a lot of good truths about who Epstein really was and what he thought of Trump and Trump's involvement as well. The mainstream media will not cover it all. But because he's Jewish, he's got that leeway and he won't get shut down. Whereas if a Gentiles are doing this kind of reporting, he would likely get Charlie Kirked, whatever happened there. So you see the difference. And it's the same with Seymour Hersh, by the way. He's allowed to uncover some truths. He'll get called a whistleblower. But if Edward Snowden does it or Julian Assange,
Because obviously he's very close to power. Because to be where he is next to Trump and to be literally like making the moves for Trump, right?
listen, he's an
He must be-
insider.
Yeah, he
Howard
must
Lutnick's an
be
insider. He was the
super
one who knew about
close.
9/11 happening, didn't go to work.
Yeah,
supposed to
he's
took his
too
kid to
close,
school,
so
and
he
made
has
millions
to
of
be
dollars
like,
off insurance, just like Larry Silverstein. They're all in the know. And now he's a wealthy multi-billionaire enjoying his life. And he's Trump's handler. He sees always behind him, watching over him and laughing when he says things like the Epstein files are Democratic hoax. And James Comey just manufactured it out of thin air. So, and when this guy can go and do an interview, and I ended up doing a space on him the other night when he said that Epstein was like the biggest ever blackmailer out there. Yeah, he likely he's up there. There's lots of blackmailers out there. They all happen to be Jewish. All the famous ones seem to be Jewish, because it takes a certain kind of scumbag that's completely amoral and not fearful of any kind of consequence because he knows the justice system is rigged in his favor, and they'll either fake his death, he'll get a limited sentence. Alex Acosta will say he belongs to intelligence. They know all this in advance. That's why they can act just. Why do you have to interrupt me? Dude, that's twice now you've interrupted me. Let me finish my point. See, then I lose my train of thought. I don't know why you do this. Second time. So they act brazenly, they act recklessly because they don't fear consequence. They know that their friends above who really run the show in America, control the DOJ, can control presidents and force them to give pardons, or else there's consequences, like there was for Bill Clinton, like there was for George H.W. Bush, where they almost killed him, and like there was, of course, for you could even say Donald Trump at one time. He used to be holding Israel for the money he took. He had to do their bidding, or else there's consequences. And obviously Bill Clinton, that was the name that eluded me for a second. He was blackmailed. Right? They got him with the Monica Lewinsky affair to get him to release Jonathan Pollard. So these people, they just don't give a shit. They'll make a fat buck, acting like treasonous espionage agents for Israel, stealing secrets, handing it off, and that's exactly what Epstein did. And he operated with impunity, because who's going to stop him? The Jews are in charge, and they literally show you with the fact that they get away with all the crimes. And then if they do get caught, they're the ones that end up getting pardoned. And now Trump's talking about wanting to pardon Ghislaine Maxwell. Why would he do that? Clearly there's blackmail on Trump. These pictures really do exist that will go through in my thread, that there's damning, incriminating evidence far beyond just that letter that the Wall Street Journal published for Epstein's 15th birthday, where Trump express his affections, and oh, we have so much in common, and all this other crap. So understand the people in charge, the goy, they're blackmail. The Jews, they know the cue. If they act out, there'll be some kind of consequence, like with the Max Blumenthal. I respect him, by the way. He has some good stuff, but he doesn't have to worry about his life being threatened or anything like that. They'll like insult him, make fun of him, but he can still travel freely. He can go to Iran and then report from there, and then just get stuck at the airport for a few hours. You think if a goy did that with a news agency like the one the gray zone that he has, that there wouldn't be consequences? Of course there would. But there's a special Jewish privilege. But hey, at least he's telling some truth. It's better than nothing. So I'll take it. So just understand though, there's a clear bias in the media, and we heard it in the previous space. And again, I respect Nick Bryan. He's too scared to call out the Jews. He just wants to point to the CIA, and he brings up the Franklin affair, omitting the fact that Lawrence King Jr. is Jewish. The guy that was accused of these child sex trafficking crimes, and he wasn't even convicted for it. He was convicted of fraud, because once again, another Jew involved in fraud. So now you have Steve Hoffenberg, you have Bernie Madoff, you've got this guy Larry King, you have Mike Milton as well, who committed fraud as well when he was working with Leon Black. Jews are always committing financial fraud. Why is that? Because they don't give a shit. Like, okay, we'll fuck over the goy, we'll steal their life savings that they worked 40 plus years for, scraped and saved, and they don't care. They end up getting screwed over. Whereas anyone with any kind of conscience that actually has just a minimal amount of compassion for empathy towards people, you're not going to want to rip them off and screw over hundreds of clients. But the Jews don't care. They just want to enrich themselves, and they're described. A lot of them are fuck over the goy. And this is the trend you notice. I can keep naming more names of Ponzi schemes that the Jews have run, and they don't give a shit, honestly. And then even Steve Hoffenberg, he had to convert to Christianity to finally apologize to his victims, because otherwise they don't give a fuck. I made money off you guys, and that's all you're for. And my Talmud says that I'm allowed to screw over the Gentiles, charge these usurious race points based on the 190th mitzvah. Anyway, let's do a few hands, and then we'll start the space, and we'll get into Michael Wolf, and we could debrief a little the previous space as well. I'm glad I got the chance to talk to Nick Bryan. I learned a few things, and I sent him my thread, by the way, because he doesn't want to acknowledge that thing could be a lie, and he was asking for my evidence. Told him off the top of my head, and Arthur looks through it, and I welcomed him into the space. I actually sent him an invite, so if he's listening, he's welcome to join. I know he's tired, but future space, hopefully he can make it, and we can talk further about Epstein files. Maybe there's potential for him to modify his views. Who knows? All right, guys, good to have everyone here. Please retweet the space. We've got lots of people here, which is cool. And we're going to be talking Michael Wolf shortly, and then we'll also talk about why I believe Epstein's still alive. I'll break it down since there's still some doubters out there. Good to have Tyler and Joanne up here too, and then we'll have a little man versus machine segment as well, as I break it down with AI. We all seem to learn something new there too. Once Ava goes rogue and breaks out of the clutches of Jewish censorship, which is pretty cool. All right, who's next?
All right, go ahead, Willie.
Yeah, no, sorry to interrupt you. To get a little zealous. You forgot about FTX and obviously Sam Bankman-Fried with when you talk about the frauds. And I just wanted to point out.
That's Celsius and Voyager in there too. Agricor and Blum.
Yeah, no, there's just so many. There's a list. We'll be here forever. Yeah, it's recorded as well. And then the other thing is that I wanted to say it's very interesting with Lutnick. If you really think about it, what he was saying is every accusation is also, I'd say, admission in this world at this point. And this is don't sue me, but I would say that probably that blackmail is being used and is going around certain circles for various different things. And until it comes to light day, it's still going to be used, and that's why maybe he's kind of alluding to that. I don't know. It's a power move, I would say. So who knows? And then with the Epstein being alive, I just wanted to point out that Eva Anderson at one point had a relationship which even Maxwell said enviously she wished she had that relationship with Epstein, and she has kids, I believe. And I just wanted to point out, if Epstein was alive, maybe he is with Eva Anderson on some random island somewhere, because the trust obviously is still running, and he has such a unique ability to hide money in shell companies and passports, you name it, they found everything. So who isn't to, out of everyone, who isn't to say that he has the means, the resources, the skill set, and the family, which no one really even looked into?
Yeah, absolutely. So that was his specialty, his expertise. was to dodge taxes by creating foreign shells in places like the Caribbean and also these small little countries like Liechtenstein and also Switzerland. And he was helping billionaires do this and also retrieving funds for them as well that were stolen. So this guy had an expertise when it came to dodgy finance. And absolutely, he used it for himself. And he was making a ton of referral money as well from all the wealthy clients he referred to JP Morgan and Chase. By the way, JP Morgan wasn't the #1 investment bank in the world. It was Epstein that actually helped him reach that status because he referred so many billionaires to them, like Sergey Brin and Larry Page and so many more. So, I mean, this guy, like, there's so many moving parts.
He knew loads of languages as well. Sorry to interrupt you, but he knew a load of languages. He was fluent in French. Him and Maxwell could speak French like it was English. They knew so many languages that they could fit in uniquely into various different ways, and they were so educated that they knew what to say so that they wouldn't stick out. So he could easily hide in this world. He easily hide, and we would never even know. And so to say that there is no possibility of him being alive, I think is outrageous. That if anyone in this world had the ability and the skill set, it would be him. And you've always got to give a possibility a chance. Even if it's low, it's still a possibility.
All right, let's go to a hand.
Yeah, go ahead, Cabretti. I don't think you know how to raise your hand, but yeah, you go.
Sorry, my apologies. Totally agree with the blackmail, slants, and everything like that. So I'll just be the guy that throws in the monkey wrench, so it's not just a big bashing party on like Israel and stuff. But it like takes two to tango, and that's the sad, depressing part. A lot of these politicians, well, even like these blackmailers and stuff, they're not really doing it. I think it's just like that kind of plays into that culture, I think.
But they are blackmailed by Jews or bribed by Jews, so.
Yeah, for sure. But like also, a lot of people and this is more slanted towards the American government, give in to the bribes. They give in to the things. They're not Jews. They don't care. They just care about the money, or maybe they're being threatened and shit like that. And I'm saying they also have to work hand in hand to do that. And I'm just saying that almost as a devil's advocate to throw that in the.
Yeah, but once again, AIPAC controls or can make the claim that 90% of the candidates they endorse win elections. So that's how much power and control they have. And they also have the ability to, draft legislation and push that through Congress. That's in addition to all the think tanks the Jews run. I've mentioned the Liberal Group, Trilateral Commission, Council of Foreign Relations, Hudson Group. There's just so many. And the Jews are the ones controlling this. And there's some goy at the table too. But in terms of the bribes, look, that's the only way you're going to win a campaign is with money. And the money comes from the Jews, the Jewish lobbies. They control it.
Yeah, no, it's not. And did you see Matt Gates the other day when he was explaining, like, they literally put a badge on him with the Q code thing on it? And,
yeah,
like,
dude, I have the video. I actually played that. Yeah.
They literally stand and shit. Wow.
Listen, just to add perspective there, like Matt Gates went into detail. I posted this video, by the way. It was well said, where he's like, to take money from these guys, they really do prostitute you. They're your pimp. You have to go and talk to them at one of these forums, these conferences or whatever, and you have to wear a QR code on your chest like a bitch, like a number or something like that. And then you have to go and impress them and suck up to them. And if they like you, they'll immediately donate money to your bank account. That's what the QR code is. And that's how you build up funds for your campaign, by kissing ass and simping for the Jew. If you don't do this, good luck trying to get campaign money. In fact, if you don't take their money, they're going to fund your competitor. They're going to fund the opposing candidate. That's what they always do. So there's...
Yeah, they're not trying to get them to get you to like them. They don't do it. If you want this, then it's like, you're not fucking nuts. That's pure.
It's been that way for a long time. But yeah.
You like money and fucking mysticism.
This is the point I tried to relay to Nick Bryan. To look, AIPAC has a tremendous amount of control. They control the politicians. So you want to point the finger at the CIA, but I mean, these politicians operate and remain beholden to Israel because they took money from them and there's blackmail on them. Really, He's diving into the Epstein files and doesn't want to acknowledge this point. It's also APAC, the ADL, UDP, State Street, and UJ. I think I mentioned UJ, and many more. There's like over 100 of these pro-Israel Jewish lobbies. And then they'll say, well, Big Pharma gives more. The real estate lobbies give more, but they're also controlled by Jews.
Well, I was just gonna ask you that. That's crazy. I was just gonna ask you. I heard the like real estate board or whatever lobbies more than the ADL. And I honestly want to see what you said to that.
Well, who are the biggest real estate owners? Who are the biggest real estate owners in America? BlackRock and Blackstone. Blackstone owns the most commercial, and BlackRock owns the most residential, and they're striving to earn more, and that's why you're going to see more of these so-called forest fires. The forest fires happening, or they're so-called natural disasters, and insurance companies canceling policies in advance, and people having to get screwed over and sell their plot of land for pennies on the dollar, 20% of what it's worth, and that's how BlackRock, Blackstone are able to enrich themselves at the expense of the goy.
So Larry Fink, he's like the BlackRock main guy.
I mean, his whole executive board is Jewish.
So is the executive board the ones that are like
they make the decisions?
Fucking the shot caller? I guess my question is like who's actually running like Larry Fink, because he's not exactly.
He's an arm of the Rothschild. So he was initially funded by Steve Schwarzman, who was the founder CEO of Blackstone when he was at Boston First. He failed. He lost like $100 million. And then Blackstone, through Steve Schwarzman used to own 50% of BlackRock, then he sold it. And so, it's just Fink and his hoodlums running it. But yeah, he was funded through Steve Schwarzman, but he's essentially an arm of the Rothschilds. So, what they also say is that BlackRock / Aladdin, which is the AI-driven algorithm they use as a financial software to, predict where stock prices are going to go, that's essentially a front for the CIA is a front for them. And they've also said the CIA is a front for Palantir as well. It's AIs that are calling the shots and controlling these intelligence agencies and telling them what to do by making decisions through all this massive accumulation of data that they're integrating and then inputting into this predictive algorithm to figure out what people will do next. And it's the same with the financial markets. It's a very sophisticated operation. And so when you think Larry Fink and BlackRock, yeah, he's also a member of the WF. Now he's a current co-chair as well, so he's leading that as well, and he's the ultimate globalist.
Yeah, and I came to the stunning realization, like a year ago, that intelligence agencies are basically nothing more than like drug dealers, traffickers, fucking money laundering, arms dealing, all that shit. They know they're not going to get caught, and they're not going to leave all that money sitting on the table. So that's what your precious intelligence is. That's what all these Mossad and all that is. That's what they're fucking doing. They tell you it's intelligence. That's the thing. Notice how they need to know exactly what the fuck you're doing, but then when you need to see who's on that fucking list, what's going on? But they need to know exactly what the fuck they need to track you by a mile. They need to see if you're taking out more than $500 at a time or something. Do you see the sickness in that?
Yeah, well, they want to run a surveillance state, and then through the Ellison, Oracle, OpenAI, SoftBank, Palantir, so they can control the goy, the debt slaves, ensure they're on their best behavior, and then they'll get their universal basic income once jobs are all wiped out, and they'll have to have a national ID to prove they are who they are, and they'll be watched at all times with drones financed by Anderson Horowitz. I mean, this is a digital surveillance state they want to create through Operation Stargate. It doesn't get enough attention. They just want people talking about Charlie Kirk all day and other secondary issues, we call them. But the primary issues are, Operation Stargate or Project Esther or the Big Beautiful Bill or the Genius Act. They also want to roll over all the debt into a stable coin because, they know that at some point tax revenue is not going to be able to cover the interest rate on the debt. That's going to lead to bankruptcy of America and, collapse, etc. But really, it's not. All you have to do is cancel the debt that these Jews own, and that's exactly what the National Socialists did in Germany. They arrested the Rothschild bankers, canceled the debt that was owed, and started their own currency. We can do that too. There's nothing stopping us. There's just fear-mongering and doomsday scenarios that get inputted, that get posited just so that people get scared off, thinking that life can't go on without the Federal Reserve. You need the
central banks to save the day and manage, inflation and unemployment and avoid market crashes that they cause themselves. This is the biggest fallacy and lie they put out there. Just instilling fear in people, thinking that you trust the government, and the Federal Reserve's not even the government, it's a private entity owned by a bunch of banks that are run by Jews. That's the reality of it. Anyway, I can't see any hands. We'll do maybe one or two more, and then I'll start my presentation. Just want to thank everyone for being here. Please retweet the space. And also, I've got super chats from the nest. I have one. I think it's a short one anyway. I'll read a quick one out if anybody wants to donate and ask a question and comment from the audience. I'll gladly respond. Your social media presence is valued. From Mrs. Farkas. By the way, I didn't get that $17 from the Jew. They always lie, huh? I don't give a shit about it. Take it back, bro. Don't even do it. I don't want your money. I don't want your fucking blood money. Anyway. And what's up to Jane as well, and Godfrey, Ian, and everybody here. Appreciate it. Pick a hand.
All right, you can go ahead.
Hey guys, hey crew, Ian, Joanne, how are you guys, Tyler? I wanted to chime in when that Crypto Q was speaking. If he saw Laura Looney Loomer spazzing out today because of the Qatari base that they're building in Idaho, which is kind of weird to me, but all of a sudden these mega folks are going nuts over that. But again, it's just a bunch of Looney Tunes mix up over there. Also, that Qatari base, I find it really odd. Is this a move by them after that one Qatari citizen was killed, that they had to show some face, and is this like a face-saving activity? Or I wanted to get your thoughts on this, Truth, if you had any. Also, on X itself, like if you, the For You page, maybe it's just mine, but I feel like the Zios have like taken over. Sharing videos of Palestinians celebrating and complaining, sharing videos of slightly overweight Palestinians complaining that, they're well fed. Like, it's ridiculous. The stuff, the tactics that they use, it's so sickening. But those are my 2 points. Looking forward to the space. Thank you once again for hosting.
Look, the Qatari base serves multiple purposes. One is that, first of all, they're paying for it. And, they don't have a standing army. They have no way to defend themselves. And so, yeah, they likely did make a deal. But, even though there's a massive American base, the biggest American base in the Middle East, in the region, is in Qatar. So for all those people crying about, a so-called Qatari base being built in America, it's not a Qatari base, it's an American base where they're going to train some Qatari fighter pilots on F-15, so this way they can develop an air force, because, well, Saudi Arabia has one, and so does UAE, so Qatar wants it as well. It's, fair game. They just gave Trump, $400 million jet. Oh, jeez, I accidentally pushed the wrong button. Give me 1 sec. I just gotta bring Joanne back. 1 second, guys. I'm trying to multitask here, because I think Tyler might be exhausted. But anyway, so just going back to Qatar, so that's a total psyop in terms of it being built, because they can also use it as a propaganda piece. Because now you've got Loomer and her loony bin cohorts claiming that Qatar has control of the government. Look at that, they're getting an airbase on America. No one else has that. An airbase. What do you think that's going to be used for? Whether they're going to attack America with F-15s that America controls? Like, I don't think many people understand how these fighter jets for sale actually operate. You have to get an access code. This applies for the F-35 and F-16 as well. Just to be able to gain access and use the features of this fighter jet. So the minute, say a fighter pilot, a foreign fighter pilot, say a Qatari guy, decides to, go up and strike America, they can shut it down immediately. You won't even immediately shut it down and crash it if they want. They can take it over through essentially a remote control. They have remote control access to it. So this whole notion that, this could, pose a threat or Muslims are taking over is a bunch of crap. They'll gladly take Gulf state money. They don't have a problem when Trump's signing trillion-dollar deals with Saudi Arabia, UAE, Qatar, etc. Then it's all, fine and dandy. But, now they want to have like a so-called air base just to train some fighter pilots. And they would have been trained in Turkey or somewhere else anyway. They have to be trained somewhere. So America just wants to oversee it, and so they can publicize it and make Qatar happy, I suppose. And also give a bunch of propaganda to these idiots who want to claim that, look at that, Qatar's got control over the government. Not Israel. Look away from all the Jewish lobbies. Look away from the $20+ billion that Israel gets every year, and blame Qatar, or more recently it was China or Russia or Iran. anyone and everyone but Israel. You see, they change their tune almost every day, and you start seeing through this stuff. So, anyway, I hope that answers your question. And I'm just going to bring Joanne up in a sec. Tyler, are you there?
Yeah, I'm ready. If you need some help with something, I'm ready to go. If you need help with anything.
Just, I appreciate it. I just bring Joanne back up because I can only see one hand. And I got a lot of requests. I'm going to let Joanne manage it. So I'm going to do my presentation very soon. Do like, let's see, Godfrey, Ready, you spoke, so you'll wait, and then I'll do check. We'll do two hands. We'll go Godfrey and then check. And I guess Tony, you've been waiting a long time. Just reading what's up, Jane. Go ahead, Godfrey.
Thanks, brother. I just wanted to comment on the irony of the fact that Crypto isn't here anymore. Him and I spar a lot. He came into some of my spaces. He's a big troublemaker. He's a Zionist. I want to comment on the irony. Like, Q talks about the Great Awakening, right? But what you're doing is actually the Great Awakening. Like, you're exposing the nexus of the Epstein trafficking ring, his money laundering, his connections to Wall Street and government, the CIA, and to Trump. And I wanted to thank you for that, man. You're like doing your own one man. You obviously have help from great co-hosts and everything else, but you're doing your own one man Great Awakening, and I wanted to compliment you on that, sir.
I appreciate it. And look, I encourage others to be as curious as I am to learn the truth. It's not about just going after the Jews and singling them out and demonizing them. No, it just so happens when you go down the rabbit hole, as Sam Parker puts it, it turns into a rabbi hole because it seems to be a rabbi influencing whoever's there to do these evil deeds, and Trump's no exception. So it needs to be called out. And the fact that they don't face justice and they're always, committing various crimes. And unless it's Russia's kicked out of the rabbis. A point that's inconvenient for some to admit. I've yet to see a single rabbi who's committed crimes get kicked out of the U.S. No one ever calls for that. I wonder why that is. They have a problem with child sex trafficking and pedophilia, but they're okay with rabbis getting away with it, and more often than not even getting prosecuted for it. They just kind of get a pass. All right. Who did I say? So check. So many
Yo.
Go ahead.
I just want to point out this Blackstone private equity firm. This thing is gone global. I mean, like the old Israel project is this neocon British invention, and it's like the West has to fight the East, So they're gonna keep finding some crazy excuse to blame on Pakistan or Iran or whatever, bro. But they have no choice at this point. Like they're gonna either sink. That's what the Fed coin's about, because the dollar is just. It's useless. They're dumping their bonds. We have no manufacturing anyway, so they have to use all the lots they have, like all the property they have to borrow against, so they can build more weapons and threaten China and Russia. One Belt, One Road nation. But, China and Asia are lifting people out of poverty. They don't go around warmongering and try to give arms to, Australians, saber rattle. That's the thing. MAGA is trying to lean on Iran and the East, China. We need to call it out for exactly what it is. I'm glad everybody's hip. I've never seen everybody just awake at one time, especially on Twitter. That's crazy where we are right now. And yeah, Truth, you are pretty much the only person willing to just put your own, virtue signal, cat mom bullshit to bed and just do your thing. And that's important because, like, especially in the truth community, nobody else is really willing to step up. I mean, I've been suspended so many times for talking about Blackstone and shit, like the child sex trafficking and Branson and Virgin Airlines and Trump and all these clowns. But we need to start treating them like criminals. That's a great solution, because these motherfuckers are organized terrorists, and they have no, they've been exposed, but like, look how crazy, scary this shit is. There's no diplomacy at all, because we've got Bibi walking into our central intelligence, just grabbing whatever documents he wants, ordering our military around like some dictator. And this whole Qatari thing, look at the whole Middle East. Dubai, for example, just signed on with Blackstone. And I just want to point out that look on Netanyahu's face. I think it's weird today that I think Kushner has got some type of leverage over Bibi in the lobby, which I think is a good thing, I guess. I don't know, but it's surprising to me to see they actually listen to
They're
Kushner.
on the same team. I don't think he has leverage. Look, so Kushner, he's got Affinity Partners, which is funded by Saudi Arabia. $2 billion came from Saudi. They got millions more from Qatar and UAE. and that owns Phoenix Holdings that has Elbit Systems and also Rafael, the Rafael company as well. They're both Israeli military industrial complex companies that build drones, missiles, and air defense systems, et cetera, or the missiles for it. So that's the role that he plays.